Hello and welcome to the Talking Sport podcast here on YouTube. I'm joined as always for the rugby podcast by Simon and Connor. How are you, boys?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Rick.
Gutted. No draw.
He is not happy about there not being any draws. But no, another great game. Well, most of us thought another great day of rugby anyway. But yes, we'll start with the Welsh game. Obviously, Simon, going out to Italy, there's always the potential of a hiccup, but you wanted to discuss just the change in Welsh attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to your point, Ben, I think sometimes I always go into Italy with a slight bit of apprehension, really, because sometimes you never know really what can turn up, as they alluded to in the build up, really, that time in, was it 2007 off the top of my head, when we sort of fell short, really. And Italy have always been ambitious, really. So I think what happened today was, I think there was just a real change in tack, to be honest, in the way Wales played, which I think has always been the brand of rugby, which is kind of sort of suited us, really. And well, one, it's good on the eye, but it's also it's hard to contend with. It's that it's almost like the sexy rugby they brought back, really, from when we were playing within when we were winning the Grand Slams in sort of early 2000s. Really, I just thought it was just it was excellent, really, all round, really, and at the centre of all of that, really, I thought I think Bigger was excellent, really. He really sort of did orchestrate that, from whether it was whether it was kicking, just the deft passing, really, just everything, really. And it just felt like, really, they weren't trying to force the issue at all, to be honest. I felt like they were making the right plays and making it at the right time as well. So it all seemed very fluid. I think probably the project of putting North at centre, really, is started to come into his own a bit more, and I thought he looked far more comfortable in that position. But you can't obviously get away from not talking about just the pace and just the threat every time that Josh Adams and Lewis Rees-Zammit had the ball, really, because it seemed like they could hit the home run at any time, really. But yeah, I just thought it was just I just thought it was brilliant. And I think when you play at such a high intensity and such a high tempo, you're always going to find the opposition is always going to find that a problem. And I think it's exactly what we need to bring to the French game next time. Just fight fire with fire, really.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I think that it's definitely more attacking. We can see that all the way through, and like you said, North and Jonathan Davis seem to be linking up well in the middle of the field as well. So yeah, very interesting to see where they go. My point on the game then, it was just the back rows for me. Obviously, Navidi was given man of the match for his performance, but I thought him, Faletau had another cracking game, and of course Tipperick does what Tipperick always does. So yeah, they were brilliant. But on the other side of things, we talked about it a bit off there. Negri, I think he had the most carries in the game. He was absolutely immense, as he always is. I think he's doing a lot more with Pelledri out. But yeah, him, Mayer, obviously, again, just an animal, going out on the wing, taking away Connor's favourite boy, Yone's position most of the time. And yeah, off the bench as well. Just a brilliant back row performance, and the way that they were linking into the game, the Welsh boys, to keep that fluidity, like you said, Si. And it was them guys linking up with the likes of Bigger, with the likes of North and Davis, and the two wingers to get us on the front foot. And Josh Adams could have probably had about 5 tries if he had better handling of the ball today. But yeah, brilliant compared to what we've seen so far, where it's been a bit more gritty and not having the ball as much, but punishing people with penalties and stuff like that, compared to this performance, which was just all-out warfare. Con, you wanted to discuss what most people thought was probably one of the best games of rugby they've seen, but you disagree.
I think so in terms of what people have been looking for from the competition, people have been wanting it to be less structured. People are wanting to see attacking rugby, and fans definitely got that with the France England game. But I think at the same time, like it just at times it wasn't going where it should. Silly mistakes still from England, silly mistakes from France as well. France seemed happy to absorb English attack, and then they were able to diffuse it until they weren't, which I suppose I could argue is just what playing rugby is. I thought that both teams didn't look at their best. I thought that France maybe a little bit undercooked. So if that team's looking undercooked, gives me some concerns for tomorrow. But yeah, I don't think France showed them their full potential. If you consider the way France had been playing prior to the postponement 2 weeks ago, I think that team should have thrashed this England team, because I think that the criticism, particularly of Owen Farrell, I think has maybe kind of got to him a bit. I felt that his head was down throughout the game, and I think the same was true of a couple of other English players. And it was kind of like they were just like, right, okay, we just got to graft this out, and they managed to play some pretty entertaining rugby at the same time. But I think that it wasn't what it could have been, and I don't think it was what. Maybe I'm being harsh. I was expecting more from it. I'll put it that way. I was expecting a draw.
Yeah, you wanted a draw, I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think that there were some facets which maybe showed him down. I thought Slade and Ford had a brilliant game for England. I thought they were both brilliant in the midfield. And obviously Watson was man of the match. But yeah, I thought they definitely a better England. Whether that was France dropped off a bit or whether it's amazing from England, that's another story. But, you know, you could argue that either team, whoever won that game, deserved it in my eyes. I don't think it was much to call between them both. Just some brilliance. That try, French try in the first half with Jalabert and Ficou and everyone all interjecting for Pernod's try. That's the French magic that we're all used to, and we used to see quite a lot of in the 90s. But yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. Moving on then, obviously, Con, you've got a big game tomorrow between Scots and Irish, a nice Celtic battle, and very important that you pick up the win.
Yeah, look, I think that since Wales deflated Scottish hopes of maybe a title run this season, I've kind of I don't believe your apologies. Yeah, no, I don't know. Like it's a Scottish issue. Like then you have the doubt. You're like, oh, can we do this? And then you have the postponement. Seeing France maybe a little bit undercooked today makes me worried that we're going to be undercooked for an Ireland team that aren't at their best. But you look at the quality of the team that they've named. You like, even if they're sleeping, you've got Tyg Byrne there. He's just such a nuisance. I think he's one of these players. He's become one of these players that he sees in the team sheet opposite yours, and you're like, no, like I don't want to play against him. Like no, like bring in someone else. So you look at the attacking threat, like Hugo Keenan at 15, I think has been fantastic this tournament. I really like him at 15 for Ireland. And then you've got James Lowe has kind of shown his all-round game in the past couple of games as well, even when Ireland haven't been playing exceptionally well. James Lowe's been having a good game. I feel Keenan's been having a good game. Tyg Byrne's been having a good game. You're going up against an experienced Irish front row. VP Nell is starting for us. He's 43 caps, I think. Good, solid performer for us, but he's I think I read 7 weeks away from his 35th birthday, and he's replacing Xander Fagerson. And we all know what he brings to the game, besides red cards. So I worry about it.
Can I just say,
a tough one.
35 is fine, mate. You haven't got nothing to worry about with a turn of 35. But yeah, on the other side of things, you've got nuisances that they don't want to see, and Jamie Murray and Hamish Watson.
Yeah, I'm glad to see Jamie Ritchie returning to the game as well.
Get his name wrong.
Yeah,
obsessed with Murray, the name.
Yeah. His brother plays tennis. Yeah. Sam Johnson coming back into the midfield as well. That'll be interesting to see. I think it's another one. Like, keep on thinking back to the England game, how amazing Cameron Redpath was at 12, and like, it doesn't matter who you put him 12. Man, Nonu could play at 12 for Scotland, and I'd be like, still kind of wish it was Redpath though. Like, just I really loved the way that he linked up with everyone in that one game. But Sam Johnson's been solid for us. Like, I mean, you look back to the way he performed for us against England the past kind of couple of years. Like, he's a guy who can do things. He can break tackles and he can get the offloads in. So I think we can definitely do well. I'm not using the W word, but we just need to wait till tomorrow to find out if we do.
Yeah, looking forward to it though. Should be a good game. So you wanted to talk about some possible selection headaches now for the Wales-France game. Well, I don't know. It's not going to be a Grand Slam decider, but still could decide something.
Yeah, it certainly can, and it could be for both sides, really, to be honest. And I think even leading it into the Italy game, but there was a big debate of whether should Sheedy start because he's been doing so well coming off the bench, and I was one in particular. I thought I'd love to see him starting in the 10 shirt for Wales for the Italy game, really, and because he shows so much, just almost like. Care abandoned really in the way he plays, and he's willing to give things a try. And whereas I thought even sometimes maybe bigger hadn't quite pulled at the performances really lately, but he certainly did. Going back to my original point earlier, that he certainly did sort of. Come up in terms today, really. Even the stuff that doesn't really just jump out on the screen for you, really. For instance, like put in the big tackles. Even if people like taking on Negri 1-on-1 is never going to be an easy task, and even being solid under the high ball, really. So I mean, but what he always got with Bigger as well. He's a great game manager, and his kicking was on form, really. So that was one of the main positions for me. That was up for grabs, really. And but I like what Pivac did with actually bringing in a little bit of fresh blood in. So with Corey Hill doing so tremendously well off the bench last time, and he was starting, and again he was solid. And the set pieces all round were great, and I think he was a big reason for that. I think for me, I was wondering if Wayne Wright would have started at 6, but considering just a performance you put in from the VD, really, where he does such a big amount of the unseen work, it's never really I think I think everything's been validated. I think for the last one, really, I would have mentioned in particular. I thought Lucy Halahola was knocking on the door as well. There's a potential as a start even into the 15, but I think for that balance between North and Davis, which has had a few games now, and they've seemed to have developed quite a nice rhythm, really. So. Do you break what's been working for you, and I think probably not to be a discredit to Italy, but would playing it safe and actually going with the safe option and the experienced option was probably the best bet.
Yeah, and like you made a brilliant point there about Dan Bigger in defence. Next week. Would you rather Vakatawa running at Dan Bigger or Callum Sheedy?
Yeah, I know which one I would choose every time. And but he's got a maverick play to him, but and he does almost remind me of like a young Finn Russell, really. But it's just, I think he's just that's coming off the bench is a big difference from starting when it's all level pegging and you're not sort of 4 or 5 tries up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we have to remember early on we were very much helped by that yellow card. But Con, if you do get past Ireland tomorrow, then you have the Italians obviously next week. You more confident about that one?
Maybe. That one I'll maybe say that we could maybe win. Yeah, no, I think it's kind of a bank game, really, isn't it? I think Italy's performances this year so far, it's not been good enough. Like, usually by now, Italy have had a game where you're like, okay, so there's some potential. So far, the best game we've seen them play has been against England. I think that's where they've got the most points. So yeah, I reckon I can fairly confidently say that we should beat Italy. But then again, Italy do have precedent for beating us and giving us a wooden spoon before, so who knows? But that won't happen this year because we're still got more wins in England.
True, yeah. Well, that is something to be proud of. Obviously, then the other game we've got next week called Ireland-England, kind of not playing for anything apart from pride, obviously, especially if they have to go to the Aviva after Ireland lose to Scotland tomorrow. You expect the Irish backs to be firmly up for that game. But yeah, it's gonna be a good Super Saturday next week. That's not for sure. Going to be a bit weird when the possibility of Scotland France a week later, especially if France beat us, and then it's all down to that game. Then it's gonna be a strange one the week after Super Saturday. Question for you both then that just come into my head. I was having this conversation with one of the boys. So that you watch the Wales team today. Potentially, could Adams, Williams, and Reece Zammit be the Lions back three come the tour this year?
I was saying that literally like after the Italy game. I was saying like you're looking at potentially the Lions back three. I think the only thing that could maybe disrupt that is maybe whether or not Gatlin wants to select Hogg at 15. Besides that, I don't think that maybe Anthony Watson could maybe displace Josh Adams at the moment. But besides that, yeah, I think that you're looking at a Lions configuration in that back three.
Yeah, what would you think? So I'm definitely, I think probably, well, you put it definitely up there with the most potent back three in world rugby, I would say.
Oh, absolutely. I would say so, and I think also you've got to. I think when it comes down to it, I think with what I think one thing that will be for Gatland will be consistency as well, because you say, for instance, like all right, Watson, he's got man of the match today, and yeah, and Fed on all credit where credit's due, he's had a cracking game really, but is it but then what he's going to be wanting is the type of players that turn up every week really. So it's just and rather than just have an up and down Six Nations tournament really. So and I think really, to be honest, they have been doing it sort of week in week out now. So I'd say they're front runners, and then it would be hard pushed really to for anyone else really to sort of force the issue now. I mean, people who still have got that outside chance really is, as Connor rightly mentioned earlier, is Hogg, Keenan. I'm just trying to think now that I think even Johnny May is probably maybe has an outside chance really, but at the moment you've got to say really on the body of work and based on current form really the Welsh three really are the top pickings really.
Yeah, definitely. You know, like you say, you maybe say that Watson comes in for Josh Adams, but at the same time, you know, you should not today in some circumstances, but usually you give him the ball 10 meters out and it's a try. It's that's the end of the story. You know, he's clinical, isn't he? But yeah, I just thought they just look so good together. You know, everyone loves Liam Williams. I think it don't matter which country you were from. He's just mercurial with the ball and can do a lot of stuff. And obviously, Reece Zammit is just blown onto the scene, and he's got that pace that is quicker than everyone else. So we'll have to see with that. But that came into my head. One of the boys as well was saying about who would be the starting 10. You think he still goes with Farrell just because he's one of the captains?
Nah.
Yeah, it's a valid point, really. My guess is no, but you have to think what he can offer as well, because he can play 10 and he's adept at 12 as well, as we've seen today. Where I agree with you completely with the point you made earlier. I thought him and Slade were really good today. And do you think, would I keep someone within my deck of cards, really, with somebody who I can move around and shift around on the pitch, really, whereas he can still make an impact from a different position, really, quite like for instance, like a Leah Williams, who could play wing or full back, or just people you can move around, really, without losing any threat on the pitch.
Con, would you agree, or are you going to go for your boy?
See, I think based on like performances so far in the home nations, I think that Finn Russell is like, I think at the moment he's the people's choice. But the big factor that has to be taken into consideration is what Warren Gatland's like as a coach, and he's never really been a fan of the Maverick, and I think that Finn Russell is Maverick with a capital M. Farrell could very well start at 10 for the Lions in every single test, because I think he does have that solidity. He is a captaincy option. Obviously, that's been called into question of late. But yeah, we'll need to wait and see what Gatland wants to go for. You definitely have someone maybe more abrasive to high tackle and get away with it in Owen Farrell. Especially against Springboks. Finn, I think he does more in defence. He certainly has been this season, more in defence than he kind of gets credit for. But we'll just wait and see.
Yeah, well, it's one of them things. You're just looking around, isn't it? Who'd you pick? I think Russell only plays 10 if Farrell plays 12. I think that's the bottom line. I think whatever happens, unless he's injured, I think Gatlin loves Farrell and he'll be in that back line. But yes, that's why it depends on. Sexton's too old. Bigger, I don't know. As much as I do love watching Dan Bigger play, I don't think he's a starter for the Lions. So we'd have to see. But yeah, there's been a lot of talk about that as well. But yeah, it's going to definitely come down to Fowler and Russell, I think, and wherever they decide to play Farrell. We'll have to see. What I will say then, boys, what about that try then? We spoke a bit about the French try. How good and has Jalabert been since he's come in for the injured Ntamack, and will Ntamack even get back in there?
I don't think really Ntamack has got a sniff at the 10 shirt at the moment, if you ask me, to be honest, because I just think, yeah, absolutely, Jalabert was just in amongst absolutely everything. They did well today, and even just some of those tries were just straight off the training paddock, really, weren't they? And just fantastic, really. And just the fact that you've got a player play next to him who always plays above his weight in DuPont, really, and just seemed like they all seem to play, but they also seem to all have good hands, really. Even just a mention for Cyril Bay, really, who was just outstanding, really, for in the prop, really. Phenomenal hands, really, for a forward.
Yeah, the French Wolverine, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But yeah, Con, what did you think of his step to take out 2 England players in his own 22? That was beautiful.
Well, as a Scotsman, you always love to see it. I think, Jalabert, he's really stepped up. I think there's been a lot of criticism of the French coaching setup for a while, that players like him and Louis Carbonell aren't getting given the shot over other 10s when they've been in form. So I think it's Ntamack's injury came at a good time for him, I think. But today Ntamack was on the bench. I don't know if he actually got used, did he?
No.
I think that you can't count out Ntamack, and half of that is because of what he brings to France's game. He works so well with DuPont, and the other half of that is the way it works with DuPont, because they're both Toulouse teammates. They're a very, very cohesive 9-10 axis, and they're the people who create France's opportunities. So I don't know, maybe today would have been a good time for Intermac to come on, just to kind of see if that cohesion's still there. If Intermac's right there, I know he's been praised for apparently been playing well for Toulouse since he's come back from injury, but I suppose we'll need to see what the selection is next week.
Yeah, no, definitely will have to see that. It's just a shame it's not the British, Irish and French lines. That's what I'm going to say. Final thing then, boys, to wrap it up. We talked a lot about the Lions then towards the end of this. Captain, Simon, who's your captain for it?
My captain, probably an obvious, but and easily a biased choice, really. But I think he's still showing it really in his ripe old age. Really, I would struggle to go further beyond Alan Wynne-Jones really for Lions captain.
Rod, do you agree?
Well, I think if it goes ahead this year, I can't really see anyone else getting selected as captain. I think Farrell's shown himself to be a bit of a sugary peg, and Itoje before this weekend contributed a quarter of every penalty that of the 41 that England have conceded over the campaign. So I think that's done him out as a captain. So yeah, Gatland loves Alan Wynne. I can see it being Alan Wynne again.
I thought you'd have put your hand up for Hoggy, but God, yeah, just taking him away.
Nah, I'm not even really convinced that Hoggy is a Scotland captain. I think he's doing better this season, but I think I would probably prefer him to be unburdened. I think maybe like Tony's just kind of waiting, so he can give the armband to Jamie Ritchie. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, would you want one of them boys in the back row to be carrying it? But yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. I still think he'll go with Itoje. Look, I just got a weird feeling, and now he's away from the Wales bubble as well. That he likes it, even though he's obviously been the Welsh boss, but previously for God knows how long, you can just tell he loves players like Itoje and Farrell. He likes players who can, they're right on the borderline of going the wrong way, but they're there. He'll probably have Sinclair there as well, just for that as well. But yeah, I think it's going to be Itoje, and then we'll see whether or not there's different well, there will be different captains for. Oh no, actually, the Lions are only playing 4 tests, aren't they? I think the South Africa are coming over and playing France and Japan and stuff like that in the build-up, aren't they?
I think they are, yeah.
There's just no certainty at all with the Lions at the moment, is there?
Well, it seems to be the provisional. They've got it locked down now that they're going to be playing 4 tests against the Lions in every part of the UK. So Murrayfield, Aviva, Principality, and Twickenham, and then they're going to be playing in like the local English grounds then for the South Africans to play France, Japan, and there was someone else that I'm forgetting. But that's what they've penciled in. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen between now and was it September?
Yeah, I think
is it? I thought it was earlier than that.
Well, it's either June or September. I could be getting confused with another tournament.
June, I think. Late June.
Well, if it's June, obviously, then that's a bit tougher to call, isn't it? Obviously, September, I would have thought we'd be all right. Yeah. But we'll have to see. But no, it's going to be a great tour if it does happen. But yes, luckily, we still have 5 more games of the Six Nations, hopefully, to go anyway. If Scotland and France have anything to play for at the end, of course. But yeah,
we have something to play for.
But yes, we'll have to see. Well, thank you, boys. Thank you for joining me as usual on the podcast. I'm sure. Well, next week we can talk about all 3 cons. So we'll even talk about Scotland, Italy. You'll be happy about that for Super Saturday. But yeah, thank you as always for joining me here on our YouTube video. Follow us, of course, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter as well. But please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is actually called Talking Sport Podcast Wales, because someone else beat us to the normal name. So yes, please subscribe to it. please carry on listening to us here on YouTube, and subscribe to our social media. But thank you both for being part of it, and we'll catch up now next week after Super Saturday.
Hopefully with a Grand Slam in hand. Yeah, thank you, mate.
Hopefully with a Grand Slam, yeah. Hopefully
with another Italian loss. It can't be us. We can't be the first ones to get defeated by Italy in like 5 years.
We will see what you got to play for after tomorrow. All right, cheers guys, I'll catch you next week.
That's right.
Cheers, mate. Take care.